Attention, everybody. The views and opinions expressed on this show are not necessarily those of Axe Ministry, Axe Media Group, and/or their affiliate and subordinate ministries and/or nonprofits. Hey, everybody. Matt here, producer at the studio here at Axe Media Group, and we got our second episode. That's right, our second episode of Just the Facts: Trump versus Biden, with your host, Jay.
Good morning, everybody. I guess so I've got to get this started. I've got to go to YouTube, find the video here, and so there's the logo. It's gone live. I'm going to turn down my volume because you don't want to hear everything twice. Once is hard enough. Ha! I'm going to like it, and I'm going to share it on my Facebook, and I'm going to call it, what's this? Trump versus Biden, Just the Facts?
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that you will do the same when you like and share.
Definitely like and share.
Biden. Now I'm going to go to my Facebook. I'm going to like it. Look at it, share it. I'm going to go to Axe Media Group. And watch it live. All right, so welcome everybody. It's Trump versus Biden, Just the Facts. Boy, this has been a hard thing to do, and I should have done more research. I've been kind of lazy because whenever I get to reading it, it gets so complicated that it confuses me. And I really think that probably somewhere in the middle is where the truth lies, or where the best things will be found. So Trump versus Biden, Just the Facts. Donald Trump is a Republican. The Republican Party believes in smaller government and less regulation. Basically, the government staying out of our lives and just being there to do the things that are demanded of it by the Constitution. So that's a pretty interesting thing when you get into all of that about how the states have their own power to regulate themselves, and then the federal government keeps us together, united as a union, as a nation. I think it's such a great thing, though, because what we understand better are things like the problems that geography cause. Like, so in L.A., they're on the coast, they have mountains at their back. The systems move into the country from there, and so when they have high populous cities on the coast, you know, all of those gases from the automobiles are basically just piled up right there on top of the city, and so they have unique problems. And so around our country and around our world, actually, we have unique problems that are unique geologically, that are unique culturally, that are unique in every way, all the way down to the individual having their own unique problems. I've really struggled with being able to come up with just the facts. And even when you talk about the facts as far as what they want to do, they don't take into account the conundrums, the problems that naturally occur from that. So I've been really struggling to do this, just the facts. And so what I did was I ended up pulling up the their platforms and started just reading from them. Now, what I was just reading this morning was about the economy and how the Democratic Party believes that that big corporations have too much power unregulated, and they will just continue to take the wealth away and opportunity away from people like you and me, and just provide us the scraps so that we will be content enough to continue to work. So what they want to do is regulate and force companies and corporations to allow coworkers to assemble and to negotiate as a body to represent themselves with a corporation. You know, so basically forming what you would call a what's that called, a union, you know, and so they want to make sure that big corporations can't limit unions, that people can form unions, make demands on the corporation, and then if necessary, if their demands aren't being met, that they would be able to strike. And by striking and having the power, so then you could talk about crossing picket lines. So it would be socially unacceptable to cross a picket line. So in other words, you couldn't have a whole workforce or a company go on strike and then just have that company go and hire all new people to replace them. You know, so the thing about our government is it is not a democracy. It's a republic. The reason it's a representative democracy is because the voices that don't get heard, right? So California had that unique problem I was talking about with, you know, the smog. Their air was unbreathable. The smog was just atrocious. It was unreal. Traffic was so bad that you would sit in traffic rush hours every day, you know, and so they had unique problems. Now, nobody in the mass population would really have any concern for their unique problems, or be able to come together in a way that would give them enough power to force some sort of a change that would repair the problem, right? So when you talk about cars with less emissions, California doesn't have enough population to demand that of an automaker. They have to get government involved, right? And so that's part of what the Democratic Party does is they. It's kind of confusing too. You know, it's confusing, and the principles that make it work actually lay on both sides, and the opposing sides are what actually make it work or not work, and that's for a reason. So it's hard for me to, you know, Trump versus Biden versus.
Go ahead.
So the Democratic Party, they feel like the government should have the power to regulate these things and make sure that things are fair and equal for everybody else to have an opportunity, and divide, share the wealth. They also believe in, that in a world economy and in a world culture and social, being accepting of other people's cultures. And I think that's why we've had a lot of influence from other countries on our form of government and on our government itself, and even on our people, is that because they have wanted to break down borders and break down the lines and to distribute the wealth around the world, because they see even, countries with less opportunity, that they want to provide opportunity to those countries so that they can bring themselves up out of poverty where they don't have an opportunity to do that on their own right now.
Right.
So that the Democratic Party wants to do that, and that's why we do see more power and influence being brought into our government and in our country by more by minority, by less fortunate countries that don't have as much power and don't have as much wealth. We have enjoyed so much power and wealth since our founding that the vast amount of resources that we have in this country and the newness of it, the ability to just carve out your own thing wherever you are, and for people to see their own needs as primary and to work towards them without interference. They had the elbow room to do it. As populations grow, though, and epicenters of society start to gravitate towards, themselves, to grow bigger and to get, you start to have unique problems that the majority of the people have to solve. The majority of the people are suffering those same problems because the majority of people live in metropolitan areas and bigger areas. Well, then you don't get the representation. That's why a democracy doesn't work, because you wouldn't have farmers and we'd all starve because they're not represented. the same problems that are caused by one are in some ways solved by the other, and they don't represent one another, and they don't know the unique problems that each other face. And that's part of what our government is supposed to do, is to represent all of the different aspects of our society so that it can be managed in a way that it continues to function, not only function but prosper. Now, let's face it, we're going to continue to grow in population, especially in this country, and in so that's what they believe in, is distributing wealth, being generous with wealth and regulating it so that it's more easily distributed without merit, and that those who have innovative and who are innovative and creative and hardworking will take the opportunity that's provided to everybody and use that opportunity to rise up and prosper and to build something unique and good and powerful. And so that's what the Democratic Party wants to do, is to make sure that that opportunity is there for everybody. If all you can do is scratch out a living, it's hard to find an opportunity, is their belief, that they should make sure that opportunity is equal for everybody so that the best can rise out of it, take advantage of that opportunity to make it benefit them and to grow and prosper out of it. Where many, I would say even most, would squander it. And I don't think they're arguing that the opportunities given by distributing the wealth, not just in our nation to the poor, but also around the world to the poor and less fortunate, that by giving that opportunity, the best will rise out of it, having an opportunity that otherwise, if they don't regulate it that way, if they don't redistribute wealth, if they don't redistribute opportunity, if they don't regulate in a way that allows people the opportunity to go on and to rise up, then they won't have that opportunity and they won't do it. And so we'll miss out on the benefits of every individual having an opportunity to show their best and to be their best. The Republicans believe more in not regulating, not redistributing wealth, but just allowing people out of necessity to innovate and create and grow and to they believe in opportunity in a different way, though. It's hard for me to understand, because in a way they mirror each other in the result that they want, but then they are opposite in the way they think that result should be achieved. And so there's a balance that comes from it, that there's a push and pull. So President Trump, well, we shouldn't say President Trump, we should say more the Republican Party. They believe in deregulating, allowing companies to prosper and thrive and to set their own rules, and that in a free market, if a company is just trying to drain all of the wealth and trying to gain wealth, and that's their primary function, and that their company is their means by which they do it, they're not looking out for their employee, they're not looking out for society, they're not looking out to benefit those and to provide opportunity, which really isn't their job, and the Republicans don't believe that it should be. That they should, if they become tyrannical and greedy, that people can go work somewhere else, And they want the banking system to be free to take risks, so that people come with a good idea, can go and present it to a bank, and a bank can take a risk and loan it to somebody at a low interest. Those are some interesting ideas that I think somewhere in the middle is where the balance comes out of it. And I find myself I think this is such a confusing time. Populations have risen so high that big corporations have become so big, and the displaced and those who are not fortunate have become so the class separation is one of the things they talk about as well, is that class separation. So somebody born in poverty now has less chance to rise up out of it and become wealthy, or to prosper, or even just to make a comfortable living and be, satisfied. There's less opportunity now than there ever was, or that's growing with the Republican principles and model. There's a lot of things that they're wanting to do to change the Constitution in the Democratic Party, is because when they're trying to build a world economy and trying to build a world government that provides equal opportunity to everyone in the world and distribute power to everyone in the world, they want everybody to have the opportunity to rise up and to prosper. At least that's what they say. So I mean, I can agree with those things, and I see those ideas are good. But then what you end up having is, when you distribute wealth and you distribute power, then what happens is the most aggressive and those who are the most willing to take a risk and to fight will, and they'll gain power. I think we're seeing right now there's with all, we see a lot of stress and trouble in the world today, and our government has gone a little bit, I think, too far from its original constitution and its constitutional principles and the governance of its own country. I think the one world government idea has its benefits, it has its pros, but it also has its cons. With our having the power, and we've squandered it too.
Yeah.
When we start, I don't even know what to say. I should have read more, but the more I read, the more confusing it gets, and the more it sounds like the one thing has the two different platforms have to find a balance somewhere in the middle, and that's what the struggle is. I think it's a good thing, and we also. So, how much time do I have left? Lord,
you
get me out of here.
you got 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, so they want to protect workers by giving them power, and that power would allow them to moderate the companies that they work for and to manage the companies that they work for in a way that takes the power, so much of the power and wealth, out of the hands of the business owners. They want to regulate stock market. They want to regulate the healthcare. They want to have regulations because they say that those things, unregulated, end up letting those who are less fortunate or not have opportunity to rise up out of where they are.
Yeah.
And the Republicans believe that the opportunity is already here, and that those who are willing to take it and be committed to hard work and to prosper will be innovative, and they have the freedom. If you deregulate, they have the freedom to make their own choices and to do their own way, which I think is also very true. It's hard not to be biased and to go with just the facts, because most of it's all just principles and talking. So when I was reading through both of the platforms, there's just as much slam in the other and I don't know if you'd call it slander, but there's just as much talking trash about the other party as there is saying what they're actually going to do. Now, I can talk about my healthcare problems. I can't afford dental work, and I need it badly, right?
Yeah.
Now, when I say I can't afford it, what does that mean, though? See, I mean, it speaks to the individual and what their priorities are.
Yeah.
So, in fact, the Democratic Party would say, we should have free health care where you can just go get your teeth fixed. The Republican Party would say, you need to make some better decisions and choose more wisely where you spend your money so that you can afford better to pay for your own teeth,
Yeah.
right? So, when we talk about healthcare, I think that's probably pretty much it. One party thinks that we should provide healthcare, that it's a right, and the same thing with housing. They think that you should provide housing, it's a right, that people have a right to live in a place that's safe and keeps them warm and provides for them and keeps a roof over their families' heads, And the other says that you should make good decisions and choose wisely the opportunities here in this country where you can get a job, you can get married, you can have kids, you can make a decent income, and if you make the right decisions, you can take care of yourself. So no matter what education you have or wherever, education, I think, has failed us a lot in that they don't really teach us how to balance a budget and manage finances in a way that is responsible. And if you think about that, education, it should, as you progress through it, provide the higher learning that's necessary for you to advance and to gain knowledge about a field you're interested in or a field that you're good at. I think education has failed us massively. When you're young and you don't own what your parents do, you've got to make your own way.
Yeah.
Right? And so you have to go by where they're starting at, right? They're starting with nothing. Are they equipped through school today to manage with nothing or very little? I don't think that it does teach you that. And as I've gotten older, I haven't become more prosperous. I haven't made really more money, you know what I mean? But I've learned better to manage it and learned better to say no to things. Whereas now, by making better and more responsible decisions, I've come to a place where I can see more clearly, where I could change some things that I do and take care of things like my teeth.
We're out of time.
We are out of time. This is hard to do.
You went from asking, how much time we got? Are we out of time yet? To going over.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well,
so thanks for tuning in today. I appreciate you listening. I'm sorry that it was so loose and not really.
It's better than you thought it was.
Oh, well, I hope so. Anyway.
Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. This has been Just the Facts, Trump versus Biden, with your host, Jason Cobb. Bye, everybody.